viewers, greetings and welcome to this episode of Leadership Matters, a video series highlighting the stories and experiences of global leaders and providing leadership advice. The series is hosted by Avinash Ananda, a recognized leadership advisor, happiness strategist, and a motivational keynote speaker. Over the course of more than 30 years, Avinash has personally mentored more than 1,000 leaders and trainers and trained more than 1 million individuals from all walks of life in 30 countries. Our special guest for today's episode is Mr. Kalyan Muppaneni. Mr. Kalyan is the founder and CEO of Pi Datacenters, India's first greenfield and uptime institute Tier 4 certified data center and cloud organization. He is a dynamic industry leader in data center and cloud technology with more than 25 years of extensive global industry experience. Kalyan holds the feather on his cap to have introduced the concept of a hyperscale center in India. He got the world to take notice by building a world-class data center in a Tier 2 city for the first time in India. He is also the pioneer in introducing the first built-to-scale uptime institute Tier 4 certified data center in India. Kalyan has been working towards amplifying a quality digital footprint in the nation while contributing towards accomplishing the vision of a true blue digital India. He is also behind Harbor One, the Indian enterprise cloud platform to accelerate the cloud journey of Indian enterprises and global businesses operating in India.
Welcome, viewers, to yet another episode of Leadership Matters. And the leader who matters, who is here with me, is Kalyan. Hi, Kalyan. Welcome to this episode.
Avinash, thank you.
Well, your hairstyle and my hairstyle seem to match a little bit.
On the contrast, yes.
Where are you right now, Kalyan?
I am based in Hyderabad. That's where I live. I'm based out of and work out of primarily, but I do travel a lot.
Okay, lovely, lovely. So, viewers, you just heard Kalyan's impressive profile and some of his achievements. We're going to go deeper and ask Kalyan to share with us a little bit about his life journey, both his outer journey and his inner journey, which has led him to where he is today. Kalyan, please, where you spent several years, probably 2 decades of your life in the US. 15 years in Intel and senior levels, and then you decided to come back to India. Why? This is, people from here want to go there, and you came back here. I'm very happy about it, but what was the reason behind that?
See, during my career, professional career in US, especially working with Intel, I've learned a lot of things. I've started at a very junior level as a developer, and I've went on to manage large projects, large budgets, etc., in delivering value to the corporation.
Okay.
But during this process, I've learned a lot of things. If you look at, if I step back, I call myself, two things. One, a technocrat. Two, an aspirational entrepreneur. Right? So the reason I say aspiration is the aspiration never ends. You want to continue to do and go on.
Good.
And then I'm a technocrat. So during that phase, I've learned a lot of things. Especially I'm more passionate about technology when it comes to servers, data centers, the compute, and how it works and how it runs the world. So that's what really, drives me day in and out, always thinking about it. Over the years, spent 2 decades almost, in that space, watched several leaders, their operating style, the challenges, how they face on a daily basis, how they handle challenges with a smile, right? Great failures with smile. So I've watched many leaders. I try to adopt. I don't think I have a single style or I can refer to a single person, but I've watched a number of people and I try to emulate some of those characteristics into myself and then incorporated that, which has inspired me over a period of time. And then my connection back to India always is like wanting to contribute something to India, which which I was always very sure about. And then as I grew, and I had the opportunity, worked on ideas, came back to India, moved back to India for good with the family, raised the family in India, and parallelly also, fulfill one of the things that I wanted to do is always establish a company in that space, which is the ICT space, data centers, servers, etc. And started Pi Data Centers in 2014-15, and then eventually around 2019 also started a server manufacturing company called Hexatron. So I'm founder of two companies.
Two companies.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. And so the passion of being coming back to India is what drove you to come here. You got your global experience, and you applied it locally. You faced challenges while you were there as well as here, and you mentioned something about challenges. How do you? Could you give some examples of how you deal with challenges? Maybe some examples of what challenges you faced and how you overcame them.
See, as you're growing, right, in your career, as you grow as a professional, um, one of the things I believe, for you to grow as a leader, you need to understand the big picture. See, I come across, I interact, I spend at least 50% of my time just talking to employees, spending time with employees. Today, it's been always like that. And when you talk to them, right, a lot of times people are very narrow in their task. They're just busy in completing their task and finishing it and moving on. Very few people spend time on thinking about, okay, how is my task contributing to the larger picture? And how is that larger picture contributing to the even larger picture, which is my company, probably, in this sense, and contributing in a particular way to the success of my company. So very few people think that a small task that I'm doing might have a much bigger impact as it goes up the chain and it gets executed at the company level. Most people don't even think about it, not care about it.
Brilliant.
The moment you think about it, then you think about the steps on how once the task takes a bigger shape and then a bigger shape, and then it gets executed probably at a company level and it has a positive result, it changes a lot of things.
Absolutely. So, Kalyan, just to interrupt you a little bit, you said you spend about 50% of your time listening to people, talking and listening to people. Is that what you said? Huh? How does that help?
That helps me, one, understand the mindsets of the employees, what challenges they're facing, how happy they are, or what kind of, if they're unhappy, what is it about? And then if there is anything that I can do, either instantly by a quick suggestion, or maybe a larger change, if that's a pattern across multiple employees, how I can do structural changes, basically, to make sure that the problem is fixed. Number one. Number two, I also try to, the underlying thing also is to understand where they are spending time. Where they are spending time, how they are spending time, and is the time being spent valuable to some of the things that I discuss inside a boardroom or in a management session? Are the people in the ground really working on that? Or are they working on something else? So I try to see if I can connect the dot of my larger picture of the management and the boardroom discussions to the things that people are doing in a bullpen in the work environment. So are they connecting or are they totally disconnected? So it's try to, testing the pulse of different walks of lives of people in different organizations within the company.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's lovely. Something is forming from everything that you've said so far. There are some lessons that are coming out. Can you tell me something about, you mentioned mindset, you mentioned happiness. They're some of my favorite subjects because that's what I teach all over. How important is happiness to success in your experience?
I think happiness directly contributes to productivity, in my point of view, and productivity directly contributes to the success of the company. It's as simple as that. Happy employees, give their best.
What are some of the mindsets, Kalyan, that you would like and that you propagate and that you transmit across the levels in your organization? What are the
See, to me,
mindsets that you have found work?
I think it's about positive thinking
Sure.
and being passionate about your company that you're
Right.
working for.
Right.
For me, the way I have grown up, my entire 26 years of my professional career is wherever you work, whoever you work for, irrespective of the challenges, I think it's very important to love the company that you're working for. Of
Mm.
course, every company has challenges. There are positives, there are negatives. But I think if you are in a company, and working on for a while, especially, you need to love that. If you are not, then probably you're in the wrong place. And the moment you're there for some time, I'm sure you're loving it. If you're not loving it, then you're not in the right place. So
Mm.
to me, loving the what you're doing and the company that you're working for is very important, because then the passion comes out. Then
Mm.
the passion comes out, and then you're representing your company in every single conversation inside your work environment and also outside your work
Mm.
environment, which
Kalyan,
actually,
what is the task related to bigger picture, related to macro picture for you? For example, right now we're talking. How is this related to something bigger? How is this related to your vision of coming back to India and starting few companies supporting Make in India? Is this related in some way to maybe your mission on this planet or your vision or your values? Are they all connected? This is just an example, but
yeah.
something from your side.
No, definitely. I think when you work on a project, and within a project, there is a task. The project is done by, let's say, 10, 15, 20 people. And you are holding one chunk of the project that contributes to the success. You are delivering a product. It's a software product. It could be something else. Or it could be just an innovation, a process that you are putting in place that would improve, for example, the manufacturing,
Sure,
or the output of the manufacturing, or
sure.
the outcome of a certain thing, or you're building a new product. So during these, when you're working on these projects, the, the contribution that you are doing for that project, you understand, okay, where is my piece of the puzzle, right? All the
Uh-huh.
other pieces are coming this way. You put all the puzzles together, and then it's growing. And then this project, how is it going to contribute to the company? And during this process, what you will understand is, you will understand the business side of the business domain. You will acquire a lot of business domain knowledge in which your company is operating. Let's say
Mm,
you're a
mm, mm.
financial company, you're a
Right.
manufacturing company, or you are a healthcare company, but you might be working in IT.
Mm,
I might be working in IT, but I'm enabling a manufacturing process.
mm,
I'm enabling a healthcare process. I'm enabling a financial, this thing which is running the markets. But
mm,
I'm probably sitting in my office, 10,000 miles away,
mm.
and contributing to that. So when you try, that's how at least I kind of grew my knowledge in while I'm a technocrat from a business perspective, to have a positive impact on the business. Because at the end of the day, every company needs to drive profitability, needs to drive revenue. So you need to, either tie your end
Mm.
delivery to the back end. During that chain, if you tie that together, you will understand the entire process,
Mm.
right? Right from project management to delivery to budget to different life cycles that your company
Mhm.
might be running through,
Mm.
and then at the end of the day, go to market. And then when it goes to market, whether it is successful or if it's a failure, if it's a success, how much revenue it generated to the company, all of these,
Excellent, excellent. How much of your time, Kalyan, goes
and
in?
using this
Yeah.
is how I, it kind of motivated and made me think about large things that I could do in the initial days of my career. And then once I moved to India, my passion towards creating something in India has driven me to, start these companies in India.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Anything about disappointments? Were there disappointments along the way, and how you
Oh,
handle
yeah.
them? How do you bounce back from disappointments? Are you a sensitive person?
Many people. It does impact. It does impact. But what I do, much time. It's maybe a few hours, maybe a day. But I just come out of it and then look at what's next. So my disappointments range all the way from, you know, um, coming up. I mean, while I was working for a company like Intel, making proposals. Like, for example, you work on a proposal or a project for a month, 3 months. You think that it's a fantastic idea in the world. You go into a room full of, smart minds. You tell them with a lot of confidence. You think that they're going to approve a few $1 million for your project, but then at the end of the session, you feel like they have everybody in the room has shot you down completely because you're way off mark for whatever reason. Maybe
Sure.
I could see a particular detail, right, and I missed that detail, but I worked on everything else.
Yeah,
so they will come back and they'll shoot you down completely. And then at the end of the session, when you come out of it, you feel like a complete failure. But then, you tried, and then it maybe for an hour, you go, you have a coffee, and then you bounce back.
How do you bounce back? What is the secret to bouncing back?
It's you think on what is next, basically.
Fantastic, fantastic.
You think on what is next. Either how can I go back and work on the feedback, or work on complete. If that's completely a no-go, then you work on the next project.
Brilliant. Kalyan, a lot of exciting inputs you've given. Tell me something. What is the role of having a killer instinct? Is there a role like that, or it's not required for business?
I think I believe it is required.
Can I see that in you?
Thank you. I think it's very important. I think a lot of times you have to go with your gut. You see, because you don't in today's world, things move very, very fast.
Yeah.
And if we try to play completely safe, which means that you're waiting for the 100% of the data on your table, so that you
work,
it doesn't work that way. And 99% of the times you will not have more than 50, 60, 70% of the data. If you have 60, 70, 80% of the data, you're lucky most of the times.
And this is the man who deals with data, huh?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, we get data from all sorts. You have to figure out what is good, what is bad. Sometimes it's irrelevant. Sometimes you don't have any data, but then you cannot wait for, for complete, if you want to be completely secure. Sometimes even if you have 100% data, you might be a failure.
So, data, the word comes to my mind, DATA, daring ability to take action.
Yeah. I think you have to go by your gut. I mean, to your point, I think you have to go. Killer instincts are very important. You have to take an idea and you have to stand by it sometimes. But then the most important thing is, as you make progress, you know sometimes some things are going wrong. So the course correction during the process is very important. You make quick course corrections.
Sure. Okay, brilliant. I'll tell you what comes to mind. If you want, Kalyan, you can write it down. This is what came to mind in terms of lessons. Yeah. And these are the lessons for the viewers that you have given, Kalyan. I have not given that. You have given this.
Okay.
So one is case, have a killer instinct. Okay. Yep. For Kalyan, I'm giving acronym. Okay. Case, have a killer instinct. By killer instinct, and feel free to add to whatever I'm saying. By killer instinct, what you mean, Kalyan, is this, that go for it. Do what needs to be done, even if you don't have all the data. And if all the data is not there to support it, sometimes you have to go with your gut feeling, with your conviction, with your belief. So where you don't know, you believe. And your belief is based on your self-belief and self-experience. Killer instinct, very powerful. That's one. In the K, I have two more that came up, Kalyan. Although it is not, I'm not going on to the AL right now. other K is out of a C, which is connecting the dots. I found that in your entire uh, 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 conversation, in our conversation, you are very much about big picture, connecting with small picture, uh, uh, values connecting with numbers. I know in your organization you have received also great support from the community, from other businesses. It's almost a conglomerate that's growing with others also being a part of it. Is that correct, Kalyan?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Huh? Either as partners, investors, whatever, they're all part
Your
of it. So,
stakeholders, basically.
stakeholders. That's right. That's right. Huh? So, also the businesses you're doing are allied. Huh? They're not. So everywhere I see a connection. There is. You are not focused on the numbers because you see numbers as a consequence of the values and the action. You
Correct.
are focused more on the passion, on the values, the mission. You are also connecting the dots between the being a technocrat and being a business expert and being domain expert of even the client.
Yes.
Fantastic. Huh? So, guys, Stanford talk of Steve Jobs on connecting the dots. Uh, Today's talk, Leadership Matters of Kalyan with Avinash on connecting the dots. Huh? Please connect the dots in your life. It makes things simpler. This is other C I found correct part. The other K I got about you, Kalyan, is Kalyan, your name. Huh? What does it mean? What does Kalyan mean?
Kalyan is, I mean, if you go into, I mean, in the Indian context, it is something um, new
Contribution.
that you're starting
Ah,
new.
beautiful, beautiful. So Kalyan is also, I have heard, किसी का Kalyan karna is also doing something or contributing, and Kalyan is also something new, fresh
Yes.
that you are beginning.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Huh? And I think all of these different Kalyan meanings are aligned with your values, Kalyan, and your leadership lessons. Huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
Because contribution, giving back. Am I correct in saying that you are in the also present in tier 2, tier 3 cities in India?
That's one of my passions. When it comes to the growth story of India, we have the top 5 cities, top 6 cities contributing by default.
Yeah,
Everybody want to be present there.
everybody's going there. Yeah,
90% or 80% of your GDP or economy is coming out of these places. But then India needs to grow, right? India
right.
needs to grow. We want to double the economy. And where is it going to come from? Do we want it to come from the same 5 cities, or do we want it to come from, in addition to these 5, another 50 more cities?
Yeah,
Right? So that's something I truly believe in. And the great economies like US, for example, is a great example. I've spent half of my adult life over there, and I've seen how the tier 2 and tier 3 cities contribute to the overall economy of the United States. And every city, even if it's a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, has a relevance. They
right.
have a certain thing. When you name a city something, it is known for something. Something happens out of that place, right? Be it sports, be it tourism, be it industry, be it
Yeah,
something it is known for, right? So similar to that, I think we can draw a lot of parallels. We have some great tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India. North, south, east, west, you name it. Every state has at least 2, 3, 4 fantastic tier 2, tier 3 cities. I think the next wave of GDP, at least that's my vision. I think
mm,
50% of the future growth, or more than 50% of the future growth of the country, needs to come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And that's the only way we will bring in the standard of living between, uh, you know, we see it drifting apart, right?
right.
That we can narrow the scope a little bit.
I love it.
Which,
I love the way you connect your personal action to a larger nationwide mission. Huh? So the Kalyan, the two meanings of Kalyan, guys, is one is innovation or bringing up something new, and the second meaning of Kalyan is contribution, adding value. So you have innovation, you have contribution, you also have connecting the dots, which is seeing the bigger picture and connecting. What is the best use of my time right now? Is the question Kalyan asks. How is this connected with the bigger picture? How can I align what I'm doing today with how it will benefit the organization and the client? Okay, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant ways of thinking. Huh? So much in just the K. Imagine what will happen if we go to A, Kalyan. A is aspirational entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your own words, right? Yeah? So,
Yes. Yes.
aspirational entrepreneur, from what you said, Kalyan, means uh, that it never stops. There is no end to growth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
consequently, there is no end to learning. Because if you guys, if you remember what Kalyan said right at the beginning, when I asked him about his growth, he spoke about his learning. So obviously, in this man's mind, brilliant mind, where he's achieving so much, he has connected learning with growth. So inner growth and outer growth are going hand in hand for Kalyan, which is why aspirational entrepreneur always looking at the next step. Also, if you look at what Kalyan you said about disappointment, I'm
Mm-hmm.
connecting your small thing that you said about disappointment to this. That one of the reasons you were able to bounce back, resilience. The word comes from bounce back in the Latin root, resilient. Uh, is because your mind was thinking on what's next. Okay? It's not
Yeah.
wallowing in that, but thinking so that what next is also aspirational. Brilliant. That is A. L is loving what you do.
Oh wow. Yes.
See,
Yeah.
this is the essence of our conversation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
anybody goes back, is that true or not, Kalyan?
Yes.
Huh?
Absolutely. I think you need
If
to
you
love what
don't,
you.
yeah, if you don't love what you do, leave it. He says. Okay?
Yes. Absolutely.
Why is loving what you do so important, Kalyan?
Because I think apart from your family, right?
Who is in
The
your family,
next.
by the way? Who is in
Sorry.
your family? Who is in your family, by the way?
My wife and we have two daughters.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely.
So they're doing an undergraduate right now. But yeah, two daughters. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
So
ahead. You were saying, apart from
yeah,
family,
apart from family, I believe that there are two places where you spend most of your time in your life. One is with your family. Apart from your
yeah,
family, work.
work, right? Yeah,
And you spend 8, 10, 12 hours in a day or more at work, you have to love it. And you're doing this for 30, 35 years.
that's right. I mean, what kind of life would you lead if you go every day to work and you hate it?
Correct.
Absolutely. What a brilliant answer. Very
So,
nice,
so
very
you
nice.
need to make sure you love what you're doing. You work with people, like-minded people. Of course, it's not always possible, but then if it's not possible, then try to find an alternative. You try to indulge in conversations with positive, with like-minded people. Even at work, it's very important. When you
Yeah,
are at work, you work with a lot of people around you. So it's always very important, right? So to kind of create an ecosystem, an atmosphere for yourself. When you come to work, you're not only contributing to the success of your company by working on whatever the company is expecting you to, but also enjoy the time with your colleagues
mhm.
and then go home happy at the end of the day.
Very nice. What should you do? What is in your opinion, Kalyan? Uh, some people they get confused with this love your work because there will be certain aspects of the work that are not as lovable as maybe the macro picture. Uh, So you may
Hmm.
love being a technocrat, you may love being an entrepreneur, you may love delivering value, but you may not love every human being you come across there.
You
You
don't.
may not
You
love
don't.
every task. There may be some people are very good with dealing with people. Some people are very good with dealing with numbers. Some people are very, and the other thing is a stretch for them. No, it's not as enjoyable. So,
Agreed.
what would be your advice to let's say even youngsters? Because a lot of young people these days have taken this thing that love what you do to another extreme.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think every generation we see a lot of differences in the priorities, right? I think at the end of the day, um, you need to earn a paycheck. So it's for living. It's important. So you have to work. But then at the same time, as you said, it's not always possible to end up in a place where you know what you're doing. But then I think this is not an instant meal that you're cooking,
Yeah.
right? So early days in your career, it might take 2 years, 3 years, five
Very
years
nice.
to find that sweet spot, right? Sometimes even though when you start right on working on a certain thing, which you might not like, might develop into liking after you work on it for a year or so.
Very nice.
That's the reason why I think for this generation, people, I think when you get into a certain thing in a job or a particular role, you need to like test it out completely, right? If it takes a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, try it out completely and
Don't
not
judge too fast, is what you're
don't
saying.
judge too fast. Don't
Mm.
judge too fast in the sense that because otherwise, how are you going to learn? How are you going to learn if you're just trying to move? Okay, I get a 30% pay hike. I need to move. I understand it's important, but also I think you need to balance that with okay, maybe I stick around for another year. It's like it's going to help me in my career, right? It's going to give me a bigger jump in my career or bigger. I mean, it's going to grow me as a professional in terms of skills and other things because
Yeah.
those initial skills that people learn in the first 5 years of their career will play a major role for their next 25 years.
Lovely, lovely. So, practical and holistic. Hmm? Usually, when it's holistic, it's not practical. When it's practical, it's not holistic. We've done both. Nice. Y is for you, you centric. You are a, I don't know how you put this otherwise, but I'm just trying to fit it with the Y also. Uh, why could be, why am I doing this? But that is connected more with connecting the dots. Okay. But the why could also be you centric. It's very rare to see a leader who says that he spends 50% of his time talking to people and listening to people. I think this is one of the most powerful takeaways. Okay? Uh, because when you LISTEN, you have to be SILENT here.
Okay.
You
Because when
cannot
you
be.
listen, you can tell them, Avinash. See, the thing is, because at the end of the day, when your team contributes, you'll be successful. If you need to tell your team, you need to talk to them. You need to talk to them. You need to spend time with them.
And find out why I said you centric is because you want to find out what makes them happy, what's making them unhappy, and then you are acting like an enabler. This Tom Peters put it beautifully. He said every leader should be a CHRO, not CHRO in the human resource part. CHRO is Chief Hurdle Removing Officer.
Yeah.
If you listen to somebody, you know what is the hurdle that's coming in his way. You
Yeah.
know that by your one phone call or by your one small advice, they will save months or maybe weeks of effort.
Yes.
Just because you have listened and you have removed that one thing. Yeah? Huge, huge impact as a leader. Fantastic. That's you centric. So KALY. Now we go to next A. Help me out with this one, Kalyan. I found two, three things. One is adaptable to different cultures, to different situations, to different
Or
people.
agile. Agile could be another.
Agile. Very nice. I love it. Let's go with agile. Please write down agile. Okay, agile is even has the element of speed.
Yes.
Adaptable is about agile has the speed
Yeah.
element. Yeah, very nice. Some examples of your agility, Kalyan?
Yeah, I think, as I was telling earlier, when you go with your gut, when you embark on a certain thing, um, you need to do course corrections very quickly.
What a powerful learning. To be agile, you have to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. Normally, people say to be agile, you have to be open minded, you have to look at alternatives. This core is very powerful. If you trust yourself, you can be more agile because you're not afraid to fail.
Yeah, and obviously you will have to. I mean, it will have to be consultative also along the way. I think your stakeholders, especially that matter for you.
Sure.
While you go with your gut, you go embark on a certain journey. There will be stakeholders along the way, or there could be stakeholders throughout the journey. I think those few stakeholders who matter for you are always important to quickly bounce ideas and then move on. And again, in the process, you don't wait for 100% of the data. That's the only way you can be agile. If you
Very
don't,
nice.
then you're not.
Very nice. So trust yourself or trust those who you find trustworthy, and go with it.
Yes.
Don't wait for all the data. If you don't know, believe it will be good, and then you will only know after you do it. Lovely. N. Nuanced.
Nuances.
Very nice. Why nuances?
Nuances are those small things that people always tend
Overlook.
to forget or overlook. I think attention to detail connecting back to Agile as we move fast, right? We tend to overlook a lot of things. I think one thing that I've learned from my previous organization when I was working is paying attention to detail. That's one of the core.
I love it. I love it.
I
You
think
have
principles.
K, killer instinct. A, aspirational entrepreneur. L, love what you do. Y, be you-centric and listen to people. A, agile, and N, nuanced, get into details. Wonderful learnings, Kalyan. Enjoyed being here with you.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you.
And look forward to our conversation some other time, some other place.
Me too. Look forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.